What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at a Master League team that I went and played on the Saturday stream here on the YouTube channel with Kyogre, Xerneas, and Mewtwo. Mewtwo is the safe swap on this team, rocking double Legacy, Psystrike, and Shadow Ball. We have the Legacy Xerneas with Geomancy and a typical Kyogre, but I ran Blizzard because I don't like running Thunder, and I honestly didn't expect too many mirrors just to play. I like running Blizzard. Sue me, all right? So we've got some exciting battles. I went 8-2 with this team to climb some elo over the weekend with this team. So let's check out this team in the Master League. Start with Kyogre into his Zacian lead. Really neutral depending on if the Kyogre has, or if the Zacian has Wild Charge. My opponent immediately safe swaps into a Mewtwo, and I'm able to swap, and that was a complete forced swap. They overfarmed by a bit. That was definitely not like, that could have gone either way. But opponent did go for the catch, or I went for the catch here. Opponent's going to go for a Psystrike, and I'm going to go for a Psystrike back because they're about ranged where I could hit with Psystrike. But I don't know, man. So I'm going to no-shield this one. I figure whatever, I'll just let it go, and I'll get the energy on my Kyogre. But guys, listen to this.
Boom!
I figured it out. I made it louder. Let me know in the comments if you like the new volume, because that's where we're going to sit for a while. Opponent comes in with a Rayquaza. I'm going to continue to go for it. You know what? I'm going to do it. Opponent's got 2 shields. Are they going to use them? I don't know. Yeah, they're going to use them. But I'm going to bring in my Xerneas here at this point, knowing that this person is running Rayquaza. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that Zacian and Rayquaza isn't going to be too much for me to overcome with this Kyogre. But Kyogre's looking pretty good here, as long as I can kind of manage everything properly here. So I'm going to be completely honest. Master League is not my forte. I only know the matchups here to a certain degree. I know what's super effective and what's not, but if you want to tell me how many turns I have to throw Dragon Breaths from my, from this or that, or how many, I don't know that, dude. But I'm going to be able to take out the Zacian. The opponent is trying to save 2 shields for their Rayquaza. May not be a good idea here because I can go for a close combat, and I should have just full sent the Moonblast. I think my opponent may have realized it was over, but now I have to go for the hard route of taking this thing down with close combats. What I should have done was I should have simply gone for a 2-shield double Moonblast. That would have been it. But I swap in my Kyogre here, going to go for the Breaking Swipe, my opponent does. And I'm hoping that at this point a Surf is going to be enough. Opponent going for another Breaking Swipe here. Is this resisted double debuffed Surf going to be enough to take out the Rayquaza? We're going to find out right now after I finish charging up these little bubbles here. And Surf is going to be enough to KO, and that is going to be a good game. Well played. Getting into the next battle here, we got Kyogre into a Gyarados, and I'm like, okay, who runs Gyarados anymore? Anyway, I come in with my Mewtwo, my opponent immediately swaps in a Giratina Origin. So 2 Psystrikes is enough to KO here, and a Shadow Ball will not quite do it. So either way, I need 2 moves to KO. I'll just go for the Psystrike because it's cheaper. My opponent going for a charge move here. And at this point, I'm just like, you know what? If it is what it is, my opponent goes for the Ominous Wind, which is going to allow me to get shield advantage or switch advantage, which is huge. Opponent not full sending the Shadow Ball gives me an opening to get an advantage, which is honestly, I need whatever I can get right now because that was a rough lead and this is a rough swap because I don't want to unveil my Xerneas yet. I don't want to show them the rest of my team because if they see my entire team before I see their entire team, it gives them an opportunity to plan for something that I can't yet plan for, right? I don't want to give them the opportunity to establish their win conditions before I do. So I just let my Kyogre be the meat shield it was always meant to be. And then I'm going to come up with my Xerneas, and I'm going to try to 2-shield, go through this team with my Xerneas. I can't go for close combat, to be honest. I can't even bait with it, because if I drop my defense, I'm kind of in a bad spot. So I'm forced to go for Moonblasts here, but I'm over-farming as much as I can, and I lose CMP, which is just really unfortunate. I should have thrown one sooner. I was kind of hoping that maybe I would be able to get on the winning end of the CMP. It was a gamble. I don't see myself winning this game, to be completely honest with you, because they have a shield, and they have a Gyarados, and they also have a Giratina in the back. So I'm kind of not looking like I'm in good shape here. So I'm going to try my best. Aqua Tail is not going to KO. I'm overloading on energy. My opponent swaps in the Giratina and catches the Moonblast. and that's the game. That is going to seal the deal for me, unfortunately. Now I still have to get to 2 Moonblasts and then some, but them catching on that Giratina was probably that was the nail in the coffin. I now need 2 close combats, and my opponent has the energy with which to take me out here. So this is unfortunately going to be a loss in a good game. They did very well. They played this very well. And they even had energy for another Aqua Tail. So there was no way I was winning that one once they caught in the Giratina. I had a chance at that point, but that was it. Getting into the next battle here, we're going to have Kyogre on lead versus Ho-Oh. This is a really nice lead. Good to see this on the lead so I can keep it off of my Xerneas opponent. Comes in with his Zacian, and I swap in my Mewtwo. I outpace, and as far as I'm concerned, I outdamage here. So my opponent goes for a ton of energy. Zacian players are sometimes easier to read. They like to farm up to about 2 nuke moves because they want to throw the nuke before or they want to throw the nuke, you know, maybe waiting until after I throw the damage, right? Because they don't want to take any unnecessary debuff damage, so they'd rather take the damage afterwards. My opponent goes for a shield here. I should be able to outpace to the next move, which I do. Psystrike is going to get both shields off of the opponent here, which is going to be nice, but now, unfortunately, I have lost alignment. And it doesn't matter how much I wish it could. Xerneas has no play with this moveset into a Ho-Oh. My opponent has 2 charge moves, and I'm forced to shield this one. They're not running Wild Charge, but I don't want to take another close combat. I don't want to take any of this, honestly. So they come in with a Dialga here, and I'm like, okay, yeah, well, alignment would have absolutely been key in this game, but I'm going to go for the Blizzard here, folks, and because I just felt like I needed to land one, okay? So here you go.
Boom!
It doesn't even take out the whole Dialga, but I get to come in with my Xerneas and absorb this energy. I catch the Draco Meteor, which was wild. Dude, when that happened on stream, we lost our minds. So I'm trying to throw with as close to good timing as I can with this Ho-Oh. They're going to go for Sacred Fire. They're going to get the debuff. I'm going to get myself whooped here. I have to shield this. I don't have a choice. They're not going to go for a Brave Bird here because if they lower their defense, that's how they lose. So good timing here. I go for 3 into 2 Incinerates. That's 9 turns as opposed to 10 for them. So that's going to be optimal timing for me. Going for the next Moonblast here. If I can get to another one, I can make it close. Going for the close combat. I feel like maybe I should have gone for the Moonblast, but I thought maybe close combat would do more damage. And then I come in with my Kyogre, and we snipe and get the win because the opponent's Dialga does not have a move, and Xerneas is able to farm down. Dude, that was one that had me on. That had me on the back heel the whole time. I just needed to win switch there. I just needed to shield my Mewtwo, but unfortunately I didn't think of that. So Giratina Origin lead. This sucks a lot. This is the most awkward lead in the entire Master League for this team because I can't really swap out with Kyogre because I have Mewtwo in the back. Now, you could absolutely make an argument that I could just swap out with Mewtwo, and maybe I'll try that next time. Because I think at this point, my opponent swapping out here might have been a blessing. I'm going to go for the Blizzard. This is going to give me an opportunity to try to make something happen during the mid-game here to try and get some energy, you know, loaded up my Mewtwo. Maybe I can try and get Xerneas some energy and get a Moonblast off. I'm just trying to think of a way at this point to try and manufacture advantage. And so what I've opted to do here is I'm going to go for the Resisted Psystrike. And because that Lugia is so low, I got to go for the full farm down. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but we get there with the full farm down on Psycho Cuts, and the opponent has to make a decision here. No matter what they do, I'm going to rip shields off of them because Mewtwo with this much energy wins shields off of everything. So I'm going to go for the Psystrike here. Maybe I should have gone for the Shadow Ball, hard to say. But we get the Psystrike and they shield. Now I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball because I know I'm only going to get to one more move, and I have the energy, so I'm going to go ahead and let it rip, dude. And
Boom!
we take it out, and they've got a Melmetal in the back. Now, the rest of my team is incredibly low here. So what I'd like to do is not throw any energy until I get 2 close combats loaded. And then afterwards, I'm going to try to build up to 2 more close combats before I let the next one rip. Because if I do that, that's going to allow me to not take as much damage. But I make a mistake here, and I throw right away. What I should have done is I should have waited until I had the second close combat ready to go so that I would not get KO'd potentially by a Rock Slide. Now, I'm going to on the CMP. I was lucky. I might not have come out of there alive if I hadn't, or if I had just waited, right? So, good game. But when you're throwing moves with debuffs and you're in that situation, it's much, much better to be able to wait until you throw. So my opponent has a Togekiss on the lead. They immediately save swap into a Garchomp, and I'm a little bit more confused than anything else. I don't really know what to do into this. I mean, obviously, Xerneas is the obvious answer here. But I feel like they may be trying to lure out a fairy or something that beats them. So what I'm looking to do here is something that I often do in these matchups is, even though it's a hard counter, I'm not looking to throw the Moonblast immediately just to get rid of it. What I'd like to do here is I would like to overload a bunch on energy and maybe have a Moonblast almost ready to go by the time the Togekiss comes back in. I've taken 2 Sand Tombs. I'm not doing too bad on HP, but the problem that I do have is that I've been double dropped on my defense. So I'm going to go for this Moonblast here. That's going to get me some solid chip damage. Kyogre should easily be within, some range of being able to take it out. Unfortunately, because of those debuffs and the charms, not going to be able to get to another move. And then my opponent comes in with an Ultra Giratina, and that 6-legged fat Tina, that fat dragon lizard thing, core breaks this team, very much so. But because it's altered Tina, the damage output is not too terribly high. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build up to my Blizzard, and what I should do is I should bait, but I realized that my HP, I'm not going to get to another move. So I'd rather just full send the Blizzard. Maybe the opponent doesn't expect it, but they do. They just go for the shield, and I come in with my Mewtwo, and I'm going to shield up a potential Shadow Sneak. They weren't at the Shadow Force, and here I'm banking that this Shadow Ball is enough. I hope it is, because double Side Strike may have been the play, but it's so close, dude. That Tina is so incredibly thick that Shadow Ball didn't do enough. But gonna come in with the Togekiss here. My opponent is gonna be able to get to a move, and that's gonna leave my Mewtwo incredibly low. And now what I have to do is see if I can get to 2 charge moves here. With good timing, I will throw the Side Strike. I have enough HP. I should be 2 away from the Side Strike here, and that's going to allow me to potentially get to the move. And thankfully, it does. I had just enough HP to live those 2 Shadow Claws. Again, because it's Fat Tina, it doesn't do as much damage, so I'm able to live it, and we're getting a good game. Well played. I think I made that one into a short. Y'all might have seen it already. I don't know. Phoenite in the next game. This is really awkward, but I'm immediately going to pivot into my Mewtwo. I can get to a Side Strike before they can even get to a Dragon Claw. So I'm going to look to do that and get an early shield here if they stay in, which they do. So I go for the Side Strike here, and I'm expecting my opponent to pivot like into a Steel, right? Like Metagross or Excadrill, something that they normally would run with a Dragonite, but they're staying in here, which is extremely strange to me, which tells me they're probably not running double Steel. I'm going to go for the next Side Strike here, throw one Psycho Cut. There it is. So I'm going to throw one Psycho Cut here, going to get the next shield off my opponent. At this point, I'm actually quite content to let my Mewtwo go when I die with a Side Strike. Oh, it was so close. I come in with my Xerneas here. They pop in with a Melmetal, so they are running a Steel type, but perhaps they were afraid of Focus Blast or something. Anyway, maybe they don't think that Melmetal wins. Like I said, I don't know the matchups as well, but unfortunately for me, my Xerneas is going to take... it's going to be forced to shield. It takes a debuff. We did CMP. I was hoping that I wouldn't CMP them, but our turns just happened to line up there. So unfortunately, I do have to take the shield away from my Xerneas here. But we're going to see what my opponent has in the back, and I'm going to go ahead and try to play this accordingly. I can swap. I come in with the Kyogre immediately upon seeing Excadrill's typing in the top right, as when we're waiting for your opponent to swap something in, my eyes are in the top right of the screen looking for those typings, so I can see what they swap in, because it's going to show up in the typings before it shows up anywhere else. So I'm going to be able to hit them with a little bit of damage here, and my Xerneas should easily be able to farm this thing down from the range that it's at, and I should be able to close combat this Excadrill, because they, even with a Hurricane... Well, actually, a Hurricane might do it, to be honest. But my opponent's rocking Outraged Dragon Claw, perhaps suffering the same fate as many others with no charge TMs. But that's a good game either way. Well played to the opponent. So we're going to have Kyogre into Primarina. I ain't seen a Primarina since we played Master Premier. I stay in for one fast move to see what fast move it has. And I noticed that it's Charm, so I'm going to go into my Mewtwo. Opponent's got a Fat Tina, the second one that I've seen on that day. And now we're going to go for the Side Strikes. The opponent does respect the Shadow Ball and shields up. I'm going to no-shield this because I expect them to probably just throw Dragon Claw. And they throw the Shadow Sneak, which is really interesting here. I'm trying to gauge if I'm going to get to another Side Strike or not. I chicken out a bit. I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball here. My opponent shields that as well. Even though Tina's thick, it doesn't mean that they don't have to respect these moves. So I'm going to come in now with my Xerneas. I'm going to look to get to the Moonblast, and then Kyogre is just going to have to figure something out. Because Charm Primarina is a problem, and they come straight back in with the Charm Primarina. I'm going to throw the Moonblast here, and I see an opportunity to land a Blizzard. And you know I'm going to take it. So I come in with Kyogre, and we're going to start farming. Opponent goes for a charge move, probably Disarming Voice at this point, and it is. So their little bait move gets to be, they take the bait move, I don't shield it. I'm going to go for the Blizzard. I'm going for it. If I have to shield to get there, so be it, but I'm going to land this Blizzard, gosh darn it. I will do it. And nothing, not even a six-legged Tina will stop me. Even though they have Dragon Claws for days, they will not stop me. I will land this Blizzard. And I don't know what they're going to have in the back, but by goodness, I'm going to go for the Blizzard even though it was on bad timing because I'm going for it, gosh darn it. We're going to land the Blizzard.
Boom!
Taking out that Giratina, and they have a Togekiss in the back. They're running ABA frickin' Charm. Y'all know how much I love Charm. ABA Charm is the worst. Shame on you, trainer. You may have won this game, but I certainly hope you've lost many others. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to a move. Probably should have shielded something, but that's a good game. But not well played. Stupid Charm. All right, we get a Xerneas lead on the next game. This is fairly positive for Kyogre because of the fast move pressure that Waterfall provides. And because the opponent loses CMP as well, means that I can get the damage off before they can, unless they go for like a close combat and dip strategy, which they don't look to do here. I think they're going for the Moonblast. Anyway, Kyogre can take one, and I'm pretty okay with just eating it here. And then I'm immediately going to dip into my Mewtwo because I know that they're out of energy. And I wait one turn just to make sure that they don't do any swapping business because sometimes they take a turn for swapping, sometimes they don't. But I'm going to match shields here. Opponent clearly is not appreciating my Mewtwo here. They're staying in to throw another Moonblast. Maybe they're hoping for a debuff. But I'm going to go for Psy Strikes. They come in with a Kyogre here. I'm going to go for Psy Strikes here with good timing. I want to make sure that I'm matching my timing here, you know, right? You're going to go 1, 4, or 7 Cycle Cuts into this Waterfall user, which is a 3-turn user. And if you're looking to get better at move timing, I do have a course on Medify that specializes in move timing. Please, please, please. It's one of the most important things as a trainer that you can learn. I really recommend you come and check it out on my Medify page, which is in the description and the pinned comment. And we're going to see the opponent have a Dialga in the back, and because I've got Xerneas, I'm looking pretty good here. By the time I get 2 close combats loaded, this thing is going to be pretty much to a point where a close combat would be enough to KO. But my Kyogre is just healthy enough, so I am going to go ahead and shield this Iron Head just to make sure that I stay healthy. Now, my opponent comes in with Xerneas, and I notice that they do, and I undercharge the Moonblast, hoping for a little bit more farm, but I don't get it. And this is kind of the point where I feel like I should have just no-shielded the first Iron Head because, you know, it's not enough to KO with the Dragon Breaths. But honestly, it's fine here. This close combat will do enough or close to enough where Kyogre could honestly just come in and Waterfall down afterwards. But we're going to go for the double close combat. We're breaking out the button one more time. Here comes close combat number 2.
Boom!
And that's going to be a KO after Kyogre gets the snipe. Good game. Getting into the next battle, we've got Kyogre on the lead versus Rhyperior. I hate dealing with Rhyperior, and I'm sure there's plenty of you who feel the same. Opponent safe swaps into a Kyogre, and I counter with my Mewtwo. I recognize that Xerneas has close combat, can deal with the Rhyperior, so what I'm looking to do here is just go with good timing on my Psy Strikes and see what my opponent decides to do, and they're throwing shields down. Now, I am probably going to have to go for another shield myself to try and win this matchup, but I'm certainly going to try, at least if I can. But the opponent has a move ready. They throw on bad timing just to make sure they can get it off, which is respectable. So I'm going to go as well for the Psy Strike right away. I don't know. I mean, in hindsight, they probably didn't, but I felt like they had 2 moves ready. So I figured I would just go ahead and try to, you know, get rid of this thing before it got to do another surf. But in hindsight, I don't think they were at one. So I'm coming in with Kyogre, and I'm going to lure out a Dialga. And y'all know what time it is. If this isn't a Draco Meteor, this is a problem. My opponent goes for the Iron Head, maybe expecting that they're going to get the chance to farm me down. But no, Kyogre with Blizzard says hello.
Boom!
And goodbye, Dialga. My opponent comes in with their Kyogre. It is now at the surf. And I'm going to be able to come in with my Xerneas and farm down here. And at that point, I'm just hoping that whatever they have in the back, which is the Rhyperior, we just got to get to 2 close combats, and we're good. Opponent doesn't have anything left in the tank other than this Rhyperior. I get to 2 close combats. I get fancy, and I shouldn't have done it, but I was expecting them to try and throw a charge move there, maybe the Rock Wrecker, and I didn't know if a Rock Wrecker was going to be enough to KO. But Xerneas wins CMP, and they weren't going to move when I threw the first close combat. So 2 close combats is going to be enough.
Boom!
And we'll hit the button for good measure, but good game. Don't get fancy trying to catch moves if you don't have to. That was a stupid mistake on my part. I didn't need to do it. I just felt like I thought that I just man I thought that the Rock Wrecker might be enough, so I got scared. But in essence, in hindsight, don't do it. It's not worth it. You don't need to do it. So the opponent's got a Wild Charge Zacian. They're staying in. I'm gonna stay in as well, but I'm gonna look to CMP on the next charge move here. This is going to force a shield off of them before it forces one off of me if they want to keep their Zacian alive. But I'm going to go ahead and shield as well here just to see if I can get the second shield. Opponent going for the close combat at this point. And they've got a Hydreigon save swap. And you know what? Because Hydreigon is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, I respect this so much. So I'm going to go for the Moonblast to KO at least 15 Hydreigons, but they shield it. And I'm like, nah, dude, they've definitely got the Flash Cannon. I'm going to shield this up. I'm not going to fall for it, but I also don't know the counts to Flash Cannon. I am going to farm up just a couple, just one more Geomancy because I want to be on the safe side. I know Flash Cannon would probably rip my Xerneas in half. Going for the close combat. Opponent comes in with a Mewtwo, and they're going to have to throw right away in order to get to the move before I do, but they do overfarm by a bit, letting me get this Moonblast off, which is really nice here. And now we're going to come back in with the Kyogre. I was going to try to go for a Surf Snipe, but I failed at it because they threw right away. So Kyogre eats the Psy Strike, and at this point, I come in with my own Mewtwo because I should be able to get to a Psy Strike before they do, but my opponent goes straight for a Psy Strike, which is very odd. We're shields down, and at this point, it's very telling to me that they probably don't have Shadow Ball. This is most likely going to be a Focus Blast Psy Strike Mewtwo, which is common enough, but that's going to be a good game. Well played to my opponents there. Strong, strong team. Definitely has a lot of play. Obviously, Kyogre is very alignment-based sort of Pokemon, and some Dragon types might be a little bit awkward, like Dialga or Giratina, but overall, the team did very well for me. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Thank y'all so much, and we're going to catch y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.